Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Joyce Riley. Thank you for joining us in the Power Hour today. We're talking with Bob Chapman, the editor of the the editor of the International Forecaster newsletter. And you can get a copy of this financial newsletter by calling 877-479-8178. We've got a lot of callers that want to talk to you right now. But before we go to the callers, just to let you know that in the state, or in Germany, in the country of Germany, they now are having vending machines for the sale of gold. How interesting. You can go through the airport, get your gold at the vending machine, real gold. Now, the 24-hour price of gold is down right now. It's $9.20, and silver is at $13.79. Before we go to the callers, what's going on in the gold and silver market, Bob?
Well, I think we're having a continuation of the correction that began intraday at 970 again, and where the bottom here is remains to be seen. It might be right here. It might be at 925 or 930. It could be at 880. I don't think it'll go below that, though. And one of the reasons why is the big short position. And I noticed that last weekend we had about 15,000 shorts cover, and that's a good sign. So I think you'll see more short covering in here. So I don't think you'll see the market much lower.
You don't think it'll go below 880, but it could drop down to 880, you're saying?
Well, it's possible. You know, you have these people with charts and waves and cycles that follow that sort of thing. But it's very difficult to do in a manipulated market, and it all depends on how far the shorts want to go. And I think that's where the real control is in here at the moment. And having seen them do some large covering this past week, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see more short covering here very shortly.
Let's go to Brad in Montana. Brad, you're on the air with Bob Chapman. Go ahead, please.
Yes. First of all, I really want to thank you, Joyce, and you too, Mr. Chapman. Appreciate your program very much.
Well, thank you.
My question is having to do with this, with the embassies receiving so much money to be able to buy the local currency that they're at, and a lot of places I know, especially even here in Montana, we're receiving National Guard troops in this area, and they've got like one hotel booked for August, September, October. Does Mr. Chapman think that that they're actually going to collapse the money system as we know it now, and possibly if they devalue the dollar so far, that would obviously help them pay off this debt of all of this money that they continue to borrow? Do you think that's a potential for this for the short term here?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen. I do know that it is not propitious for the United States government over the next 3 months to devalue the dollar. Some event would have to happen which would drive the dollar down precipitously, and I don't know that event is out there unless it's created deliberately. As far as the troops being moved in, I do know that they are in places that they've never been before. I do know that police have been told that there could be some difficult times over the next few months in the financial area because we've been told that. And, all I can say is to make yourself safe, you have your food and put away along with your filter and have something to defend your family, and you have your gold and silver. And you really can't do an awful lot beyond that. And just don't keep a lot of money in banks.
Okay, we got a 1 minute, 10-second break. We'll be right back with your phone calls and Bob Chapman. Stay tuned to the Power Hour. This is Joyce. We're talking, though, this hour to our guest, Bob Chapman, the International Forecaster newsletter, theinternationalforecaster.com. Let's go to Jack in California, I think it is, or Jack in Canada. Jack, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi, Bob, and hi, Joyce.
Hi there.
Quick question, Bob. I noticed the previous low on the S&P 500 was 666. We all know the market's manipulated. Do you think the Illuminati actually stops at these numbers just to kind of like prove a point or something like that to their friends?
yes, they would do such a thing. They're really into that, and that's part of their arrogance. And they've probably arranged so that it would close at that level. And it's not surprising to me at all. And it's not significant to most people unless they're Christian and understand the Bible.
You know what? Think about it. You never see.
The answer is yes. And there's something I want to interject off that last call. I talked to one of my spies within the banking system, and the FDIC and the United States government are hiding the amount of banks that have gone bankrupt. They're talking about 47. This gentleman was telling me that before the fiscal year is over in September, there'll be between 500 and 800 banks that have gone under that you don't know about.
Whoa, that you don't know about. Interesting. I just wanted to add, you never see the stock market at 777. I thought that was interesting. You know, at the 666, all I can say, Jack, is you're going to get yourself on a no-fly list talking about those kinds of things. Okay, let's go to Joe in Arkansas. Joe, you're on the air. Go ahead, please. Joe in Arkansas.
Yeah. My question is this. It seems to me a big part of the problem with bankers having so much power is just that the nature of the banking business is that they make money when other people are having a hard time. Because, say, I've got a farm, and I'm getting a good price for my crops, and I'm able to save some money, stay out of debt. Well, then I don't need to go to the bank to get a loan, so the banker doesn't make money. Or say I've got a good job, and I'm making money, and I can, buy a house and buy a car and, save up some money and, prosper. And then I don't need to go to the bank and get a loan. I don't need a credit card, And so it seems like the nature of the banking business is that they prosper when everybody else is having a real hard time, so they got to go to the bank for a loan. Am I onto something here?
I think that's true in part, but it all depends on the kinds of loans that banks have made prior to that. We saw an all-out effort to save the economy in 2002, 2003. That's when it began after the fiasco of the dot-com and the crash of the market in March and April of 2000. That's why the low interest rates and the lack of any guidelines were allowed in order to pump up the real estate business. And so they made all these bad loans to save the system, so to speak, for the time being. Or, in part, they made the bad loans in order to later demolish the financial system. Depends upon which way you want to look at it.
Let me move on to Raphael in Virginia, but let me just say that there's no loans, there's no money. No loans, no money. We have to understand that. We'll talk to Paul Grignon about that also. Thank you, Joe, from Arkansas. Let's go to Raphael in Virginia. Raphael, you're on the air with Bob Chapman. Go ahead, please.
Shalom Aleichem, Joyce and Mr. Chapman. I have a question regarding gold and international mercantile trade.
Go ahead, quickly.
I understand that gold is used as a common monetary exchange device. Country A has certain value for their
okay, we're about out of time. I'll tell you what, let me hold you through this break, and I'll take your call before we introduce our guest, Paul Grignon, in this next segment. I'll take your phone call, Raphael, so stay right there with Bob Chapman. Bob, can you stay there for a couple more minutes?
Of course.
All right, we'll be right back after this 3-minute break with more of the Power Hour. Stay tuned. Let me finish up with the last question we had from Raphael in Virginia. Raphael, go ahead quickly with your question for Bob Chapman.
Okay, quickly. Gold is used as a common monetary exchange device. Now, I'm thinking that there's so much gold in the world, and, with international trade and all going as it is, you can make items cheaper from different countries, one from the other, and you can't put tariffs and whatever. My question is, will the countries need to put a certain, a cap on a certain number of widgets being made in order to keep the value of gold and the value of their product high enough to make a profit?
Okay, Bob, your response?
No, I don't think so.
We got some feedback somewhere. Okay, go ahead.
No, I don't think so. And that's not gold's function. Gold's function is a monetary caption. The function of the trade tariffs is that countries, other than, say, the United States, manipulate their currencies or they subsidize their industries, which they do. And it's not that the United States doesn't do it as well. We have an unlevel playing field, and we want to make it level. We can't compete with $1 an hour in China, and we haven't been able to ever compete with that. And so there must be an adjustment. And those adjustments, when they come in the form of tariffs, would go to the U.S. Treasury to help offset debt. But I'm having a hard time answering your question other than giving you that outline.
All right. Hey, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to be talking to Paul Grignon more about gold, money, loans, et cetera, in this next hour. So thank you, Raphael, for the phone call. And Bob Chapman, thank you for joining us again on the Power Hour today.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
You got it. Thank you so very much.